Hello, I am Pam, and this is my channel, Made by Pam. Today is Friday, January 12th, 2024. Yeah, alright, so what have I been working on this week? Well, I worked on, I have it right here, sorry. I have these cool little folders that I got. So I worked on Simplicity 8615, but I'll show that to you in a minute. But also I worked on this. I made myself a pair of overalls. So this is McCall's. It's R11951, but it is also 8437 from McCall's. You know, when they have the R on the pattern, it basically means it's from the rack. But they do also have the regular pattern number on the pattern. So yeah, I worked on this. And obviously mine doesn't look like hers. But it's because I find these fabulous fabrics. And I'm like, oh, I need to make that into something I can wear. So earlier this week, I had finished the 8615 and I was like, okay, what am I going to make next? And I was kind of looking through stuff. I'm like, oh, I need to use this fabric for something. And I'll change a couple things on it when I make it next because it's just a little weird. But I wanted to use this fabric. So I was like, well, let me see. So I contemplated making another jacket, another coat, Simplicity 8843. And I thought about it, but I currently have two coats that I wear that I made with this pattern. So I contemplated making the pattern out of this fabric. And I was like, And then I was like, no, I'm making overalls. So I looked through my patterns and I wanted to find a different pattern that I've used in the past. A tried and true that I've used many, many times. But I always still struggle with it regardless. But it wasn't in my arsenal bag, in my bag of patterns that I want to get to. And I looked in my pattern cabinet and it wasn't in there. So I'm thinking it's in my pattern stash in the back. And I'm like, well, I don't want to go looking through all of that. So as I was going through stuff, I happened upon this. I'm like, well, I'll give that one a try. Because I really liked the back view there. So I'll take these off and show you the whole design in just 1 minute. Okay, so I put back on my other pants I was wearing earlier. These are a tried and true pattern that I have made multiples of. So this one, it's okay. When I was making the pattern, I realized that a cross was going to be way too wide. See, this is even wider than that. Okay. And so I had shortened it just a little bit, you know. Just on each side I cut off a little bit and made it like kind of curve a little bit. Like I cut it off. But I still need to do some more vamping with that, and I realize that this is still too wide because I could seriously take it and tuck it in and make it, you know, better. I could tuck in like at least an inch so that it doesn't like gape. Not that it matters, but it does. So I like the way that the back is on these. it's pretty simple for the most part. I don't exactly like that you had to cut and sew in that V there, but it's okay. It's not the worst thing. But attaching the side things wasn't too difficult. So it isn't like 100% finished yet, because I do need to finish off the bottom, because I haven't sewn the hem on the legs yet. Because I tried it on earlier today. Well, I guess it was like around like 12:30 this afternoon, and it's now like 7 o'clock. But I tried it on to show my daughter, to show her what I had been working on. And so I just left them on, and I put on my boots to go to the store, because I was wearing my snow boots because it's been kind of cold, and I had to run some errands, and it's just easier to do that in boots that'll keep my feet warm. So yeah, I still need to finish the bottom hem. But yeah, this was the McCall's 8437. Alright, so next on the agenda is what I have been working on other part of this week on 8615 for simplicity. So this is one of the pairs. I'd shown part of it last week, I think, but they weren't finished. But I did finish them. So they are completed. I think they look very nice. And what is good about this is, like, this bib part, it's like at the right size. Like, if it was one for me, like, this bib is the right size. Okay? But the rest of it's not, because obviously it's too small. But the picture on here is obviously a little let's say misleading as the picture goes. And the back wasn't too bad either, because the straps, you sew up the straps and then you crisscross them and then stitch the little triangle in the back. So that wasn't too bad either. But yeah. So this is one of the pairs that I completed. I thought about doing this part of this video earlier in the week. I thought about coming on and doing the video and then just posting it today, but kind of having like a look right after I got it done. But instead I put him in a bag and kind of held on to him. And this is the other pair. So while I was making this pair, I ran out of the thread that I was using for the top stitching for the whole project, basically. I ran out of the thread. I'm like, oh man. And so I was a little disheartened, because I was like, man, what am I supposed to do? So I went to Hobby Lobby looking for thread to see if they still had that kind of thread. And of course they did not. They got rid of the variegated, I guess it's like 100% cotton, variegated thread type stuff. But they had stopped selling it. If I had known they were going to do that, I probably would have bought more of the variegated ones. But yeah, so I had enough to, I barely had enough to get the finished hem on the bottom of the legs. Now, on the inside seam, I did have to sew that up with just plain black thread, which is okay. And then when I went to sew the hem on the bottom, I used the variegated because I knew I was running out and I barely made it. And then it's got the front pocket, and instead of the side openings like what the picture shows and what I did on this other pair, it just has an opening on the top, which is more functional. And I did use kind of a fun print on the inside just because I could. So hopefully they're okay with that. Of course, it's also on the pocket and the pocket. But I'm sure they'll be okay with that. And then it does have the functional zipper fly in the front. Okay. So that pair is done. And then this is the other pair. And so when I did these, I was asked if I could make the bottom of the leg slimmer, because they do kind of like go out like in a flared leg version. And so I had cut off the sides and I kind of trimmed it down a little bit. So with this other pair that I had made, I decided that I wanted to also make the legs a little slimmer. So basically I took my roller and did it at a slant and just kind of cut that section off a little bit, just a little bit. But this one still has the same pocket piece and it has those stupid side pockets, but they'll just stay how they are. But yeah. So you can see they're a little bit thinner than what they were before. If I even showed you what they were before, but I know my friend will appreciate that. So those are finished. So what I have planned next, I will probably be making another pair or so of these and altering it a little bit to make them fit me better. Just, hey. Okay, my daughter came in and interrupted me. So what I have planned next is I was contemplating making this coat. And so I pulled out some fabric and I washed it. Like, this is just what my inside lining would be. They're just some old something my friend gave me. I got it from somewhere. I don't remember who. It might have been my friend down the street. But just some fabric pieces that she gave me. And I was thinking of using it as a lining because I do like to line my coats. So I have this fabric that I picked up from a thrift store a couple months back. And so I washed it the other day and I was like, I know. Because originally I was going to use this purple to make this. But then I crossed this and I'm like, oh, maybe it'll be better. I was like, that would be so cool. But then I was thinking the other day also, like, just recently, I'm like, what if I made one of the bomber jackets? Well, let me show you that pattern real quick. Okay, I have the pattern. So it's a Simplicity 8418. It's a Mrs. lined bomber jacket with fabric and trim variations, which for my size, size 14, it would take, well, so for the actual jacket itself takes almost 2 yards, and then for the lining is already almost 2 yards, so like 4 yards of fabric, which isn't bad. But so I was thinking this one would look pretty cool as a bomber jacket scenario, you know? Seriously. Wanted it? Did you see that? So I was thinking I might actually do that with this, because there's not like a whole lot of fabric here, but there's enough. So I've told William this. He's a YouTuber. His channel is My So-Called Life, and he's a marvelous sewer YouTuber. He's great. But I was telling him the trick. You take the end of the fabric and you like turn your head away from the hand that's doing this. You take it to clip to your nose. So like that, that's 1 yard. If I laid it down on my table, that's 1 yard. Almost. So I might need to like go just a little bit further, because I guess my depth isn't quite a yard. But yeah, 1 yard of fabric, and then this other, so there's 2 yards of fabric here, and so that would be just enough to make this jacket. Okay, and then I'd have plenty of this to make the lining, or even if I wanted to use a fuzzy lining on the inside, I do have some fuzzy fabric. So yeah, that's my plan. So I'm thinking I actually want to do this one, so I'd have to trace it out and get that pattern prepped, because I'm a little more excited to make it in this over this. Yeah. So, and then whether or not I decide to use this fabric as the inside, or if I use a nice fuzzy like blanket fabric for the inside. We'll see what happens. But yeah, I just really like this fabric, and I thought it would look really good. And it's like an upholstery type fabric. But I found it at a thrift store, and it was just something that I had to gather up. I don't remember how much it cost me even. It's a couple dollars, I don't know. Alright, well, I think that is all for now. I don't see anything else that I can tell you. I haven't worked on anything else, really. I did go to a movie this week. On Wednesday, me and my husband, we went and watched Migration at the theater. It's a kind of like a kids movie about like some mallards and ducks and stuff flying to Jamaica. But we celebrated our 15th wedding anniversary, and so we went to watch a movie. Yeah. Alright. Well, thank you all so much for watching. Have a wonderful day. Stay creative, and until next time. Bye now.